From Washington, this is VOA News. Ukraine's president extends a ceasefire. U.S. Secretary of State Kerry meets Saudi leaders. I'm Vincent Bruce reporting from Washington. Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko has extended a unilateral ceasefire with pro-Russian separatists for 3 more days. Some of those pro-Russian rebels say they will observe a truce as long as the Ukrainian military does. Earlier Friday, Ukraine signed a new free trade and economic pact with the EU. The EU-Ukraine Association Agreement is a political and economic cooperation deal which Ukraine President Poroshenko says is just the start of change for his country.
This is the most important day for Ukrainian history after Independence Day. I'm absolutely sure that Ukrainian Association Agreement with the European Union is not just to finish our 7-year process, but the launch of the process for the modernization of my country.
The agreement angered Russia, which is threatening to retaliate. It's the same deal former pro-Russian President Viktor Yanukovych refused to sign last year, leading to his overthrow and the chaos in eastern Ukraine. The EU is demanding the pro-Russian separatists and their supporters in Moscow take steps to de-escalate the crisis in eastern Ukraine, including holding substantial peace talks and letting a European team monitor the ceasefire. Georgia, Moldova, and Ukraine signed free trade agreements with the European Union Friday. The 3 countries will enjoy lucrative free trade with all 28 EU members as long as their goods and services meet EU standards. The agreement also deepens political cooperation with the EU and bars the former Soviet states from entering into similar deals with Moscow. Russia warned of serious consequences for what it called economic aggression. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry called the deals a major step towards a Europe whole, free, and at peace. Secretary of State John Kerry held talks with Saudi Arabia's King Abdullah on the crisis in Iraq and Syria, and has also met Syrian rebel leader Ahmad Jarba in the Red Sea town of Jeddah. Philip Walter Wellman reports for VOA from Dubai.
During his brief meeting with Jarba, Kerry said the moderate Syrian opposition he leads would be important in deterring the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, also known as ISIL. The Sunni jihadist group controls a large section of Syria and in recent weeks seized swaths of Iraqi territory. Kerry's visit to Saudi Arabia comes a day after President Barack Obama asked the U.S. Congress to approve $500 million to train and equip moderate Syrian rebels. The news will be welcomed by the Saudis, the biggest financial backers of the rebels, who've repeatedly criticized the United States for not providing enough support to those fighting President Bashar al-Assad's forces. This is Phil Walter Wellman for VOA News, Dubai.
More details on these stories at voanews.com. The field is set for the World Cup's round of 16 Saturday. Brazil will take on Chile. Also, Colombia and Uruguay play in Rio de Janeiro. Belgium and Algeria have advanced from Group H, while Germany and the United States advanced from Group G. The Italian soccer player beaten by Uruguay's Luis Suarez in a World Cup match earlier this week says the punishment handed down against Suarez was excessive. Suarez bit Giorgio Chiellini in the shoulder in a match won by Uruguay 1-0 on Tuesday. Officials have suspended Suarez twice before in club play for biting opposing players and once for using racially abusive language. Chiellini posted on his website he has always considered the punishments enforced by governing organizations as absolute. The World Health Organization is issuing warnings to West African nations of the spread of the Ebola Ebola epidemic.
People are just traveling by roads. And the road exists in all West Africa. There is roads going to Bamako, going to Abidjan, going to Dakar.
In Geneva, Friday, WHO medical officer Dr. Pierre Forenti addressed health officials in Ivory Coast, Mali, Senegal, and Guinea-Bissau. The latest outbreak of the Ebola virus is the deadliest in the region. Nearly 400 people have died since Ebola emerged again in February. For more, visit us at voanews.com for all of these stories. I'm Vincent Bruce in the VOA newsroom. Vincent Bruce reporting from Washington.
That's the latest world news from VOA.